Dance has been around as long as human beings have been around, and work has been around for just as long. And yet, the two domains of dance and work were, for most of human history, separate and distinct. Well, not anymore. An increasing amount of research is showing how rhythmic group movement can bring people together when around friends, when they learn, and even when they work. Our guest on Happier Talk today is a leading expert on bringing dance and other fun practices to the different parts of our lives. She has her PhD and is a graduate of the master's program in positive psychology at the University of Pennsylvania. She writes extensively, having published academic journal articles and popular books on dance, exercise, love, and positive aging. She's an internationally renowned presenter, trainer, who teaches in communities, academia, and businesses. I'm thrilled to be chatting today to Dr. Elaine O'Brien. Hi, Elaine. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. It's such my pleasure to see you, Tal.
So, dance and work, how are they connected? Do tell.
Okay, so my background is in dance exercise and dance fitness. So I think that they are so connected because we move, we need to move more and well. So I would say that they're very connected in our activities of daily living. And my program, Move to Love, is around inviting people to connect through community group movement with easy to follow dance movement to increase cardiovascular ability, strength, flexibility training, coordination, balance, agility, and also social fitness.
What's social fitness?
Social fitness is a pretty new concept in terms of it's the ability of people to connect and build strong resources through movement. And when you move together as a group in an enriched environment, there's a lot of potential to increase, again, the resources and the connections among people.
So you would get, let's say, employees in an organization, a business unit, to dance together?
Yes, like maybe do like an energy break. And that's something I did with Marty Seligman at the University of Pennsylvania during the long map days when you're in classes for 8 hours. We would have energy breaks. So Marty would invite me to get up and lead the group and just to re-energize people. So in corporations, that's great. I brought some of my adult students into an elementary school as an example to give the students a refresher break so that we know that movement, particularly aerobic movement, helps learning. And it's a very exciting chance to build intergenerational connections.
So these breaks, they'd go beyond the recommendation to exercise, say, 3 or 4 times a week.
Yes, and it's so important because what happens is when you sit for a long period of time, your blood gets like sludge, so you need to get moving. So even just those incremental breaks, if you have like 10 minutes of movement periodically, it really does help you to feel better and to be better.
So as a rule of thumb, how often do I need to get up? You know, I spend a lot of time writing in front of my computer. How often should I get up and for how long?
Well, I want to say thank you for all the writing and the great work that you've done.
Thank you.
Sincerely. And the recommendation is every 20 minutes, that it's good to get up, and even if you just stretch your legs or have a drink of water, you don't have to do a full long time, but even just getting up periodically more often is really, really important.
And in terms of those breaks, those longer breaks, what would you recommend doing? What kind of dance or movement?
I think that some of the science is showing that a lot of it has to do with personality and what you enjoy. So in my research, Tal, what I found is that exercise enjoyment, motivation, and adherence was found in the students that I trained. And what I tried to do is put dance exercise, easy to follow movement, which would be like a 1 hour, let's say we'll call it a fitness class, which would incorporate eclectic music so that there's something for everyone. Again, easy to follow movement, but building challenge for the people, the participants or students in the class, and to incorporate, again, strength training, flexibility and balance, etc. So,
So if I look at dance as an activity and try to break it down to its beneficial components, I see a few things. I see the benefit of listening to music.
yes,
I see the benefit of physical exercise. There's also the benefit of learning coordinated movement.
yes.
Right? So there's research showing that that contributes to cognitive development.
Yes, and John Ratey's done a lot of work about that, that there's increases in brain health, the brain-derived neurotropic factor increases, the neural connections increase, and there's quite a bit of evidence about, again, learning and about increasing the executive function of the brain, which is so important in terms of our making good choices and decisions as we age. So it's such a protective factor. And sometimes when I was presenting today for the Embodied Positive Psychology Conference, we talked about how, because it's fun, sometimes people might think it's frivolous, but it really is a protective factor. And one researcher, Polintensky, talked about DRAIN, the current medical model, as a sick care model. It's deficit, it's reactive, arrogant, individual, and negative, versus a SPEC model, which is more strengths-based. It's positive, it's empowering, and it's also community-based. So when we gather people together in a group, a lot of good things can happen, especially when you move together, because it primes flow. But group or social flow, coactive flow, has been found to be more valuable and more of a positive state than even individual flow, which is quite wonderful. And also, we have the ability to have communitas, people moving rhythmically together. We become greater than we are as an individual, and it builds connections and a positive behavioral synchrony as well.
You know, I'm hearing all this and I'm saying, you know, I like it a lot, but I don't do dance. You know, I'm not a good dancer. I have two left feet, you know, as they say. Is there hope for me?
Yes, there's certainly hope for you. I didn't really study dance until I was an adult. I was in my college dance team, and I was the worst dancer. And then when I was in graduate school, I started to learn to teach aerobic dance. And I had great teachers. They were with the Imperial Society of Ballroom Dancing. But I was the worst student in the class. I was the most overweight, and I was the oldest at the time. So it was very intimidating, but I had a lot of, I guess, grit, as Caroline Miller would talk about, and determination. I just really loved how it made me feel. And it made me really feel happy that I could help people teach dance to the non-dancers. So I would love to teach you anytime. And
You're on.
in my program, I tried to make it challenging but easy to follow. And again, a constructivist approach so that the learning is building and building on. So.
Okay, so here I'm committing to something. So every 20 minutes or 30 minutes, I'm going to set my my watch while I'm sitting and writing and get up for 10, 20 seconds to just dance, just some crazy dance moves. As long as no one's watching, you know, I know how to dance.
And if they're watching, you might inspire them, which again, you did inspire me at IPA when I saw you doing the soaring program, sincerely.
I recently heard someone talk about how sitting is the new smoking. And it seems like there is an epidemic or a pandemic of inactivity. What do we do? Where does it come from, and what do we do about this?
Yes, you're so right about that. As a matter of fact, in 2012, the United Nations, in cooperation with the American College of Sports Medicine, had a meeting to talk about the scourge of inactivity. So we're sitting more and moving less. And also, there's more on-screen time, which also reduces our potential to have flow state, according to Csikszentmihalyi and Lefebvre. So to get people moving more and well, I think it's important for them to realize it's something, and then to think about what they enjoy doing, what you love to do.
I think that's key because you know, we think there is maybe a prescription of what we should do. Well, I should go out for a run. Well, many people don't like to run. Or I should ballroom dance. Well, many people would perhaps prefer hip hop or vice versa. So I think the key is to identify what activity do I like and then to do it. and not just to do it 3 or 4 times a week, but to have it part of your life, every half hour or so to exercise.
Yes, and if you make it fun, I think that's really important. So I know in my fitness classes, people come because they want to see each other and because it is enjoyable. We have a high level of motivation and adherence. So in my research study, what I did was I looked at participants who were in my program for 5 years or more, who attended classes for twice a week. So it's a 1-hour dance fitness, easy to follow. You're welcome to come anytime, Tom. And what we did was we identified people, and there was one woman who had actually been in the program over 20 years with me. So people, what we did was I triangulated my study and looked at well-being by looking at interviews and surveys, and then we talked to the families of the participants who ranged in age from 62 to 82 years young. And what happened was that the families were so excited that their moms were in the program, and they felt that they were more self-determined. They had more autonomy, more relatedness, more connections with other people, and mastery as well. They also had high levels of well-being. They were all volunteers, from holding premature babies to teaching Latin at a private school. And they also were just these vibrant women that redefined what aging is like, which is a real passion of mine. I was actually a member of the Older Women's League when I was 23, so just always had an affinity. And I know one study when I was in grad school I read, talked about older people who don't exercise were kind of viewed as curmudgeons. And I felt like, wow, this is just the opposite of what I'm seeing in my population of people who are dancing.
What is the research telling us about aging and dancing and activity?
So it looks like that if you're enjoying it, if you're getting out, especially in group setting with a group or community dance fitness, that the people have the potential to increase their positivity. And also, again, like with the PERMA model, that's something I looked at along with the SPIRE model, which is just a beautiful model in terms of being a whole system, whole being institute program or model. And with PERMA, so we looked at increased positivity through the movement, through more engagement. And again, as you said and have written about with music, it can really change your mood instantly between the type of music. We had increased relationships, positive relationships with the people. And there's an epidemic also of loneliness among people. I think that's a quiet thing that we don't often hear about that much. But sometimes when people are older, they have a lot of losses. And this was a great chance for people to connect and get together. Back in the PERMA model, there was meaning among the women. So as an example, one woman lost her husband in my program. And we would pray or hold hands and just like connect that way on a higher level. And the accomplishment to me is walking in the door in the morning at 8 a.m. to get together. That's a huge accomplishment. So I always honor, and I'm so grateful for the people coming out to connect and move well.
And all these things that you mentioned, whether it's the meaning element or the positive emotions or the engagement, of course, are associated with physical health as well. So dance brings out both more happiness as well as more health.
Yes.
So thank you. Thank you for doing all this important work.
Oh,
in
my
our
pleasure.
world.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for watching Happier Talk. For more interviews, please join us here on Happier TV. Take care.